From a shared love of dusty relics to unforgettable moments on screen, Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz took us on an adventure through America's hidden treasures. But their friendship wasn't without its secrets or struggles. Since Frank's passing, Wolfe has revealed stories and emotions that give fans a deeper look into the bond they shared, both beautiful and bittersweet. What memories and lessons does Wolfe hold close, and what truths can only be told now? Join us as we uncover how their complex bond evolved from a simple passion for picking to a legacy cherished by millions. How two friends changed the game. Right in the heart of Davenport, Iowa, two small-town guys took an unlikely friendship and turned it into one of television's most beloved partnerships. Lifelong friends and fellow pickers, Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz, had nothing but a shared love for antiques and a vision to save American history one piece at a time. Long before the bright lights of television came calling, they were rummaging through barns and abandoned houses, scrounging for things in forgotten sheds, their bond forged in the hunt for dusty treasures. The magic behind American Pickers wasn't just in the artifacts they uncovered. It was in the undeniable chemistry between Mike and Frank that had captured the attention of millions. The guys looked like they were living a dream, finding value in things most people wouldn't give a second glance. Mike was that adventurous guy, always curious, who can cajole any person into opening their doors to him. Frank, on the other hand, was pragmatic and brought a down-to-earth regular guy to the duo. Their friendly and competitive banter easily made them feel like family to fans. As they gained in popularity, Mike and Frank's journey proved to be more than just a treasure hunt. They were curating pieces of America's past, and in the meantime spreading a much deeper message. The stories behind the objects were just as important as the objects themselves. American Pickers was no longer just another reality show. It had grown into a cultural phenomenon that redirects the spotlight to the lives and memories attached to each find. The fans came to know them as more than just hosts. Rather, they became cultural icons, encapsulating a sense of adventure and nostalgia that reached far beyond the screen. But as the show developed, so did the dynamics between Mike and Frank. With fame came a faster pace and higher expectations. With it, perhaps inevitably, tensions beneath the surface. Mike's inborn ability to dream big would sometimes clash with Frank's more cautious nature, especially as the show grew beyond its roots. While their different personalities helped mold American Pickers into a success, it also meant they didn't always see eye to eye on everything. But no one could ever question the passion and dedication that fueled their partnership. It wasn't just a rise to stardom. It was a tale of friendship, risk, and chemistry so rare, only the joining together for decades could forge. Together, they turned a quirky pastime into a cultural movement, one that inspired fans to take another look at the past that surrounded them on all sides. And when American Pickers became a sort of empire, it was always two guys doing what they love. But most of all, Mike and Frank's presence on this show goes down in history as more than just the items they found. It is a testament to the lasting power of friendship, ambition, and maybe even the cost of fame. Their rise wasn't about the treasures they found, but about the journey they took together. And now, with Frank gone, the story goes on, and it has fans wondering how Mike will carry the torch solo, and what stories from their past might finally come to light. The untold story behind their falling out. The friendship of Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz once seemed unbreakable, but even the best of friendships have dark times. For years, the two rode the waves of success together, but with growing fame came growing tension. Their differences, which were once just friendly contrasts, began to show visible divides, and the ease and the chemistry fans loved began to feel strained. Audiences felt it. Beneath every laugh, every on-screen banter were unspoken words, but with growing fame came growing tension. Their differences, which were once just friendly contrasts, began to show visible divides and to get the better of him. To the general public, he was only a friendly picker, but inside, his personal life was falling apart because of severe back pain made worse by his fight with addiction. Mike, a childhood friend, could feel the frustration of watching Frank spiral further downward. Frank's exit from American Pickers in 2021 seemed quite abrupt, though in reality, it was just a culmination of quite a number of years of strained interactions and tough decisions that neither man could have foreseen when they began their journey together. He made a public statement about Frank's departure, telling people how sad he was, but also referring to something deeper. Speculation from fans and media was rife, with whispers of money, control over the creative process, and personal differences between the two longtime friends. But Mike's statement suggested something much deeper, a conflict not driven by the trappings of fame and fortune, but by real concern over Frank's well-being. But beneath the differences, the deep, unshakable care that had once been its foundation still remained. Frank's addiction had turned into an unwillingness to fully accept the help extended to him, a heartbreaking rift. Mike always was and is the more practical of the two, trying everything in his power to get through to his friend. But at that moment, it became certain that sometimes love and loyalty aren't enough to take the pain away from another. Frank's decision to leave the show was not just a break from television. It was quite a personal journey in which he had to face his own demons. But without Frank, the tone of American Pickers had changed ever so slightly, and fans noticed. Many reached out to Mike directly, hoping he would get Frank back for a second round of the good old days when the two friends appeared inseparable. Meanwhile, Mike was going through some emotional turmoil that nobody else knew about or saw in public. He was carrying the weight of a fractured friendship, that painful realization at times the people we care about, despite our best efforts, drift away. The estrangement between Mike and Frank left an unmistakable mark on both their lives. It was a chance for Frank to step back and reevaluate his health, and for Mike, he had to walk down an alternative path alone with the weight of a friendship that was tested to its limits. Could they find their way back to that easy camaraderie, or had fame taken something from them that could never be fully restored? Everyone has their battles, and Frank was no different. While American Pickers represented the thrill of the hunt, Frank Fritz was fighting a very different battle off-screen, one that was kept most of the time from the audience and often even from those closest to him. Reliance on painkillers after a serious back injury soon spiraled slowly into addiction. What had started as a need to manage physical pain soon opened a door to deeper emotional struggles, one he found increasingly hard to face alone. Addiction is seldom a straight-up battle, and Frank's was no different. Wolfe and other friends were becoming increasingly more concerned and stepped in where they could, but addiction is a formidable opponent. Though the camaraderie they shared was close, Frank often walked alone in his personal battles. Mike, who had known Frank for decades, began to see the signs. What had been an effortless friendship like breathing now weighed heavily with unspoken terrors, silences, and silences, in a moment where neither one knew what to say. For Mike, it wasn't just tough to watch his friend suffer, it hurt. He later shared that he had done a few interventions, offered an olive branch for help, but it was quite a cumbersome process. His addiction was not something for any other person's will to overcome. Frank was fighting a personal fight, a fight that would require all the time, patience, and commitment he was yet to accept fully. Flashes of hopefulness and recovery soon gave way to bitter reality, and Mike, like most people who cared about him, didn't know exactly what else to do to help him. Pretty much well documented was the struggle Frank took publicly to deal with his health issues, including entering rehab. The audience of the show became aware of his fight, and many messages of support came through. The road to recovery is never a simple one. Wolfe insinuated that Frank's battles ran deeper than anyone knew, putting another layer in there of tragedy in their story. The bond they shared was now overshadowed by the constant fear, the fear that Frank's next step might lead him further away from the life he once loved. Addiction took its toll not only in Frank's personal life, but also in his public persona. While he struggled to regain control, the shadow of his struggles hung heavy and would change his relationship with Mike forever. Mike did not stop trying to be supportive to Frank, but somehow one knew he was fighting a battle with his own emotional turmoil. How could he be supportive to his friend when he has to cope with pressures from a popular show and personal responsibilities? Without Frank, Mike is now left with memories of their friendship, and perhaps some questions that will always remain unanswered. He has spoken about how much he loved his friend, the attempts he made to help, and the painful realization that sometimes, no matter how much we would like to, we cannot save all those we love. Now, with Frank and a nostalgic look back at their time spent together, it leaves the fan pondering. What were the secrets Frank took with him? And how will Mike carry forward the legacy of their just as meaningful as it was complicated friendship? A bittersweet reunion. As years of tension began to ease, Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz finally found their way back to each other just in time to rekindle the connection they'd shared for so long. The reconciliation came at a point when life seemed to demand reflection and healing from both men. Wolfe, who had witnessed his friend's battles with health and addiction, felt a wave of bittersweet relief in reconnecting with Frank. After years of silence, they were speaking again, a small miracle after all the painful ups and downs. For Wolfe, there was a profound sense of closure, but also an ache. The years they had spent estranged, the words left unsaid, they now weighed heavily on him. When they finally spoke, it was as though time hadn't passed. Their laughter, the familiar banter, it was all still there. But underlying their conversation was an understanding of how fragile life can be. Wolfe would later express relief that they had reconnected. Yet this relief was tinged with regret for the lost time they could never get back. It was a chance for honesty, to finally acknowledge the bond that had been both tested and mended over the years. Mike Wolfe shared that when he revisited memories of his time with Frank, he felt as if he was seeing his friend in a new light. All the small quirks, the humor that could turn a dull day into a memorable one, the bond they had shared with fans, it all came flooding back. Wolfe's heart felt the sting of realizing that he had a front-row seat to some of the best years of Frank's life, and yet he had also been there during some of the most challenging moments he could only now appreciate fully. As Wolfe reconciled with Frank, he opened up to him in a way that was raw and vulnerable, sharing memories that were as personal as they were public. Frank's illness and his struggles had made Wolfe see the importance of speaking those unspoken words, of expressing love and care before it was too late. Their conversations grew deeper as Wolfe came to understand the true weight of their friendship, a partnership forged through adventures, trials, and triumphs. Together, they had built something unique, a legacy that would live on in the hearts of their fans. However, even as they laughed and reminisced, there was a quiet understanding between them that time was short. Wolfe later admitted that he felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for having reconciled with Frank before his passing, yet he couldn't shake the lingering feeling of, what if? What if they'd managed to mend things sooner? What if he'd reached out one more time? These thoughts, though bittersweet, underscored the depth of his love for his friend. They had reconnected, and for Wolfe, that connection was a small but powerful gift, a reminder of the irreplaceable bond that defined his life. In the end, Wolfe's reunion with Frank was a testament to the resilience of true friendship, one that could weather years of silence and yet, in a single conversation, pick up right where it left off. It's a reminder to all of us to cherish the friendships that matter, to bridge the gaps before it's too late, and to let those we care about know just how much they mean to us. The final goodbye. The death of Frank Fritz saw Mike Wolfe take to the public with a farewell as heartfelt as it was heartbreaking. For Wolfe, this tribute was much more than a farewell to a friend and adventure partner half on the road. These words by Wolfe surely struck a chord in the hearts of his fans, encapsulating in them the essence of their co-created journey, and how Frank's influence was not merely evoked in Wolfe, but in all who had shared the tale of these two. In his tribute, Wolfe related to a facet of Frank that few could attest to, the humor, the crankiness, the resilience that had carried them through nameless highway mileage and dust-laden barns. He spoke about Frank's special spirit, of his obstinate persistence to find these hidden treasures of life, be it literal or metaphorical. Wolfe revealed poignantly the lessons he had learned from Frank, not only about antiques but also about life, loyalty, and the beauty of imperfections. Wolfe's voice cracked as he remembered Frank's sense of humor, his surreal talent to make the most insignificant finds tell a story, and his relentless love for this road they had traveled together. Wolfe's tribute wasn't to the farewell, but to life fully lived, if not always easily. He wanted fans to remember Frank not by his challenges, but by the joy he had brought to the show and into the lives he had touched on the way. Wolfe painted the picture of a man who battled hardships head-on, who embraced rough edges in life, and in return had left an indelible mark on the world of picking. For Wolfe, the act of saying goodbye could not quite be embodied within an enclosure of words. In some respects, the eulogy was Wolfe's way of sharing a part of his journey in grief as he endeavored through complex emotions of losing one who had occupied such a large place in his life. He completely acknowledged the impact that the loss brought upon facing death, transience in living, and the reverberation we leave behind upon others. With the death of Frank, Wolfe expressed deep gratefulness for all time spent and a renewal toward moving forward to make good representations of what their lives had been, in memory of his friend. Listened to by fans, the depth and the level of vulnerability that Wolfe showed reached the hearts of so many. He withheld nothing, articulating the raw and rough emotions that enveloped him after Frank's passing. He talked of regret, of forgiveness, and of love outliving words. Wolfe's tribute was a powerful reminder that in the end, what we construct together means much more than any treasure. But in a eulogy for Frank, he gave the world, both its fans and friends, the blessing of recalling a man who, imperfect like all men, nonetheless lived with passion, humor, and gristle. As Wolfe continued his final farewell, he spoke not only to say goodbye to his friend, but also to say that he would preserve the spirit of their exploits, to keep looking, picking up, and finding so very much as they had spent years doing. It was a tribute that left audiences with the sense that Frank's legacy would live on, not only through the memories Wolfe holds dear, but via every person who saw themselves in the friendship that brought two small-town pickers into the hearts of millions. As Wolfe signed off, his words remained, the final word for the man who had stood at his side through thick and thin, a bright reminder that true friendship never really dies, but is transformed into an essence within us. What Mike wants fans to remember. In the wake of Frank Fritz's passing, Mike Wolfe's heart has been laid bare for fans, showing a depth of love and respect that transcends years of road trips and antique finds. For Wolfe, the journey he shared with Frank is more than a chapter in American Pickers. It's a legacy he hopes to carry forward with every episode, every pick, and every memory. To him, Frank wasn't just a partner, he was family. And as any family does, they had their struggles, but the bond they shared outlasted the hardships. Wolfe now reflects on his friend's life and lessons with a fresh perspective. What would Frank do? Has become his silent guiding question. A tribute to the friend who taught him that sometimes the best finds are those that you can't put a price tag on. Wolfe's message to fans and friends alike is one of cherishing the people who stand by us, through the highs and lows, the laughter and disagreements. As he looks back, he can't help but think of the countless adventures they shared, realizing that every mile driven and every antique unearthed was a testament to their enduring friendship. Beyond the antique treasures and dusty barns, Wolfe believes Frank's legacy carries a deeper meaning, a reminder to recognize and support those facing their own battles. He hopes fans take a moment to reflect on their relationships, to reach out, to reconcile, and to never leave important words unsaid. Addiction, illness, or simply time itself can create distances, but Wolfe's journey with Frank underscores the importance of love and forgiveness no matter how far apart life takes us. For Wolfe, carrying on Frank's spirit isn't just about preserving his memory on American Pickers. It's about honoring the journey of friendship and the lessons learned along the way. As he continues down the road, Wolfe knows that part of Frank will always be there, guiding him as he embraces this new chapter with the same resilience, laughter, and loyalty that defined their bond. As we wrap up this heartfelt journey through friendship, loss, and legacy, remember Frank Fritz's enduring impact on Mike Wolfe and American Pickers. What do you think is the most valuable lesson from their story? Drop your thoughts below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep up with our latest videos. Let's keep Frank's memory alive by cherishing those close to us and always supporting each other.